Welcome back to the Sub 220 Marathon Project video series. We are just over 2 weeks away from the Osaka Marathon. Super excited to get to Japan next week. I'm currently in Morocco, about an hour and a half drive south of Marrakesh at an altitude training destination. Well, it's actually a ski town. It's called Uki Maiden, I believe it's pronounced. Every time I say it to a local, they correct me though, so I might be slightly wrong. I was thinking about going back to altitude between Seville half, spending the week in Monte Gordo, and Osaka Marathon. I was thinking about going back to Kenya, but the travel journey is quite far. It's about 18 to 20 hours to get to Item door to door. And about a month and a half ago, I noticed some Norwegian triathletes, Christian Blumenfeld and Gustav Eden, training up here in Morocco. So I thought I'd come and check it out because it was very close to Monte Gordo, a short flight and then an hour and a half drive. They're staying just down the road. Caught up with them for lunch the other day, and yeah, really looking forward to seeing how they go in the next few months. Hopefully some content coming with them soon, we'll see. But for now, I'm up here for probably 10 days. There is the old idea that you need at least 2 weeks altitude to get any benefit from it, but do keep in mind I've just been at altitude for 4 weeks in Kenya, so my adaptation is still well and truly, I'm going to adapt very quickly to the altitude here. The reason that I might cut the stay short as of maybe even today or tomorrow is that the weather here has taken a turn for the worse. Yesterday I went for an easy run and it was so windy and cold and difficult to run that I had to drive down the mountain. One really cool thing about this place though, you'll see some footage now in the overlay, is that even though it's at 2,700 meters altitude, you can drive down the mountain in about 45 minutes to get to about 900 meters altitude, which in feet, I guess, is around about 4,000. I could have that wrong. But, not really affecting you in training. And the running down there is not too bad. So I'm actually going to head down there today in about half an hour to do my final long run. 30k, 18 and a half miles. I've just been preparing my fueling for that now. But yeah, the town is pretty cool. It's 2,700 meters. Right now is the middle of winter, so you can see the snow on the mountains. This is the coldest it's going to be. It's around about the 0 degrees, 32 degrees Fahrenheit. There's a flat road that's probably about 2.5 kilometers long. It's not dead flat, but it's pretty flat. I've been sort of running up and down that. And then there's lots of trails, but they're just really, really steep. Not too bad, I think, once you get adapted to the altitude. But if you come straight here, you probably find the trails pretty challenging. But I think one of the biggest benefits to coming here is that it's much faster and easier to get to than going to Kenya, for example. Of course, there's lots of other good locations in Europe, such as Font-Romeu and St. Moritz. Those places are well and truly under snow now, though, and this place, despite being higher, is not as snowy. So, got myself an apartment for 10 days. Obviously awesome to catch up with Christian and Gustav to talk all about their upcoming projects and their racing and training in the next few months to the next few years. But hopefully this serves as a good little training block for me leading into the Osaka Marathon as well. Before I talk more about the training week, that was the third last week of training. Just a quick thank you to the sponsors of this video series. I know last week the intro was a bit long for some people. I apologise about that. But do keep in mind these sponsors are essentially funding the video project. YouTube ads pays very little, and there's no way I'd be able to produce these videos just on YouTube ads alone. So a huge thank you to Soar Running, currently wearing the jacket. I've been wearing this in most runs outside. Super thin, super lightweight, but also quite warm. And for those that watched the last video, we recently released the Sweat Elite Soar singlets, of which they're sold out in many sizes now. I believe we only have less than 10 left in some sizes. I think extra small and maybe extra large. But a huge thank you. That's in men's. I think in women's we have a few more sizes. But a huge thank you to those that have supported Sweat Elite and bought the singlet and are repping it in training and racing. Please do tag us on Instagram. We'd love to reshare your post. So huge thank you to Soar Running for sponsoring this video series. Top 4 Running is also sponsoring this video series. They are one of Europe's fastest growing running retailers. You can score a discount by using the code in the description of this YouTube video, Sweat Elite, on the already low prices at Top 4 Running. They're stocking all the top brands at the lowest prices. I've been testing out the Puma Nitro Elite. I'm going to do my last long run in these today. I've been enjoying these for sure. I don't think I'm going to race in them, but Fantastic training shoe. Thank you, Top Running, for allowing me to try them. I've also been trying out the Adizero SL by Adidas. Quite a good shoe, very light. Pretty similar to the Pegasus in my opinion, but I probably prefer these over the latest Pegasus that I've used. And I'll talk more about those two shoes very soon. Thank you to Precision Fuel and Hydration that have been fueling me throughout this build-up and that I will be using in the Osaka Marathon, their gels and their carb mix. And also Pillar Performance. I have been using their triple magnesium drink every night, and it's been quite helpful for my sleep. I know that there was a comment in the last video saying that there's some studies indicating that magnesium may or may not help. I've found it helpful, and so ultimately that's all that really matters to me. I've been taking one dose around about dinner time, just after dinner, and I felt like I've just been able to relax a lot more in the evening and get to sleep and have a bit of deeper sleep. So huge thank you to Pillar Performance for sponsoring this video series as well. Okay, so I did mention in the second last video that I wouldn't be going through my training in complete detail in these videos anymore. I just think the podcast that you can find in the description of this video is better for that. It's about 20 minutes long and I go into the full detail of the full training week. But just a quick few updates. I did the Seville half marathon, obviously, in 66:44. I said in the video after that I think 2:17 is possible on race day. Someone made a really good question, a really good point, saying that's a bit faster than 66:44. So I wanted to address that point. I felt pretty tired during the half, and this is my own fault, I'm not making excuses. I travelled 36 hours essentially from Kenya to Seville and landed on the Friday at midday, less than 48 hours before the race. That's just how my plans were with work and connecting through Nairobi, Dubai and London and spending a night in London. So I was pretty flat. I also didn't really taper down for that too much despite my mileage dropping. I was just travelling so much during the week I actually just had to miss some runs. And I started pretty tired, and I also forgot to take a gel during the race. In fact, it's not necessarily that I forgot, it was more that at the very start of the race there was a little bit of a stressful situation in that I couldn't give my phone and my gear to my friends that I was with, and I had to throw my gear out. It was just due to the barricades and we went in the wrong way and it was all a bit confusing. And I only had one gel on me and I wanted to grab another gel for my friend. So my plan was to have a gel in the starting pen and then at about 12k, and I couldn't grab the other gel. So I just had the gel beforehand, and then I kind of felt like I ran out of gas around 10 miles, 16k. So, these aren't excuses, they're just reasons to believe that I may have been able to go quicker if I did another one, say for example this weekend, when I didn't travel so much and I was able to have a better start. So I do think sort of 65 low to 65 mid would have been possible, and I do think if that's possible, I think sort of 2:17 or 2:16 maybe on a perfect day is possible as well. But that would mean that everything would have to go pretty much perfectly, which very rarely happens in a marathon. So, sub 2:20 is the goal, and I'll be absolutely stoked with 2:19:59. What pace I go out in on the day, we will see. I'm thinking 68 high through the half, which gives me the ability to maybe drop down to 2:16 if I feel great at 30k, but I might eat those words big time after the race and find 68 high challenging. At least that's what I went through when I ran 2:20. So we'll see. But then after that, 3 days later, I did the 15 by 1k workout, which you saw on the previous video. And then on the Sunday, that was on the Thursday. On the Sunday, I did 40k with Richard Ringer and some German and Belgian athletes, which was great fun. Sort of a moderate run where I did the last 5k a little bit quicker and averaged 3:38 per k, which I think is around 5:50 per mile, something like that. And felt really good. That was actually pretty comfortable. Good signs knowing I could have run 2 more k and sort of run 2:32, 2:33 or something like that. Although there was a couple of short stops in there to go to the toilet, and I did a few k before meeting Richard, and I got there a little bit early, so there was a few short breaks. But yes, I then travelled that evening to Morocco, and now it's Saturday, 6 days later, after landing here in Morocco, and things have gone well so far. I've just done the one interval session here earlier in the week. It didn't go exactly to plan. In fact, I'm going to show you some footage from that. I tried to find a location to do some intervals down the mountain, and I didn't look for long enough and basically settled with a place that wasn't ideal. I tried to do a workout of 2Ks and 1Ks, and I just couldn't find anywhere overly flat. The flattest place I could find was about 18 meters of elevation gain in 1K, which I think if you're in miles, it's in a mile is probably around almost 80 feet. I could have that wrong, but it's not flat. So I was sort of running up and down the hill, and you can see in the footage. So yeah, otherwise just easy runnings in between. That's why I haven't really been going into too much detail on this video series about that, but I talk much more in detail in the podcast series. But you have to be a YouTube member or a website subscriber to access that, so a huge thank you to those that are supporting in that way. So 15 days to go. Taper time coming up soon, and that's what I wanted to talk about in the last part of this intro in this video. So tapering, in my opinion, based on asking a lot of pros and coaches about this, is pretty individual. People tend to respond to really different things. I just spent some time in Montegordo with Jill Holterman. She likes to start tapering 2.5 weeks before and ease right down. I've tried that before and it's never really worked out for me. I tend to do better if I train pretty hard all the way up until sort of 4 or 5 days before, and then take 3 or 4, maximum 5 easier days. So that's what I'm going to do this time around. That's what I've done every time I've run well, and all my PBs are essentially come from that lead in. So yeah, today 30k, sort of moderate. Don't really have a set pace for this because it's going to be a little bit hilly. On Tuesday, I'm going to do 10 by 2 minutes and 10 by 1 minute. And then on Friday will be my last sort of key workout, 3 by 5k at Marathon Effort in London, stopping at London for 2 days. Then I travel to Japan, and then on, I think the Tuesday, 5 days before, I'll do my last hard workout, which will be a 10k tempo where I alternate 1k on, 1k float, and then a few 1 minute intervals, which is exactly what I did 5 days before I ran 220, and I felt great. So between those, just easy runs of sort of 30 to 70 minutes, and that's about it. Welcome to the Moroccan altitude training camp. Been here for 2 days now. So this is Ukimeden, I believe it's pronounced, and we're at 2,620 meters elevation, which is about 8,700 feet. I'd never heard of this place until about 6 weeks ago, when I noticed that some of the Norwegian triathletes were training up here, of which they're still here. They're staying just down the road. And at first it didn't really trigger anything. I didn't really think much of it. I thought that's interesting. And then after the trip to Kenya, I feel like I responded well to the altitude. I normally do. I just hadn't had a successful training block in Kenya for a while. Went to Montegordo and thought, should I go back to Kenya for a few weeks? Should I go to London for a few weeks, which was my original plan? And then I realised that where I was in Montegordo, this place is very close, just an hour flight and then an hour drive. So I figured I'd come back up to altitude for 10 days, which is way closer than Kenya. To get to Kenya would have taken probably 20 hours of travel. This took only a few. And the best part about this place is it's very snowy outside, as you probably have seen in the intro. But it's pretty easy to jog here still. But we can drive about 45 minutes south down the mountain to about 1,000 meters elevation. And it's, I hope it's pretty flat because I've got a workout scheduled for in about an hour, but we're going to check it out soon. So yeah, very high. To put into context, Boulder's 1,600 meters, Flagstaff is 2,100 meters, Kenya's 2,350, so this is 2,620, so it's very high. But I just seem to be responding well to the altitude. I think I shared in the last video that I seem to get very low on body fat, which I'm not a huge fan of in general, but when I'm going into a marathon, then it obviously is helpful. So I'm actually just planning now the workouts. You can kind of look on the screen. I try to keep it pretty simple, and it's maybe a bit controversial to have it on the Google Calendar, but so today I've got 3 sets of 2K, 1K, 1K. Then I'm going to take 2 days rest, and then 30K hilly. So the 40K was 2 days ago now, so it's there. And then 10 by 2 minutes, 10 by 1 minute. This is the draft plan. I don't know if it's actually going to eventuate, but normally it does. At 85% effort, 10 by 2 minutes, 10 by 1 minute. And then I'm flying to London here, and then I'm doing a workout in London 3 by 5k at 3:15 pace, about marathon pace. And that's a bit quicker than 2:20 pace, and we'll see how that goes, see how that feels. travel to Japan, travel, and then my last workout will be 10k, 1k on, 1k float, alternating tempo, 5 bar minute on, minute off. That's a workout I'd like to do just before a race, so 10k, like 1k fast, 1k float, no specific paces, and then 3 days easy, and then Osaka Marathon. So yeah, and I've actually made a little joke in here that I'm starting at 9:15 and finishing at 11:30, so that would make, I don't know, you can do the math on what time that means, but yeah, so so that's the rough plan. See how we go. I have no idea how easy it's going to be to do this workout down the hill, but we'll see. And yeah, see how it goes. 2k, 1k, 1k, so 2k at like threshold, which will probably be 3:06 to 3:10, something like that. And then 1k is a bit faster, maybe 2:55 to 3 minutes, with 1 minute rest and 2 minutes between sets. So yeah, we'll show you a bit more of the location. But I think in summer this place would be really nice to train. It's just a bit cold now, but I timed it without Osaka, obviously. So it was either come here and be in a bit of snow, or go to Kenya and be back in the dust where my asthma was triggered, and just way longer travel time to get to Kenya. There was also Font Romeu as an option. And also, what's the place, St. Moritz, but both colder and snowy than here from what I understand. So, and this is way higher, and I think that's why I came here. So yeah, we'll go down the mountain and see how we go. $8:45, we'll get going. I think it's like an hour drive down the mountain, so wow, it's fully. It hasn't really gotten any better from yesterday in terms of the snow. But this is Ukimeden. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I'm not sure. But yeah, there's a road just over there. We'll show it in a minute. That just goes about 2.5k pretty flat. So I've been running mostly up and down there, and there's some trails up there, but it's pretty hilly. Yeah, you can do quite a lot of looping around this whole, like all these little streets. But it's pretty hilly, and when you're at this altitude, it's pretty tough. But there is a dead flat road, so. But this is our little place. Yeah, it's so beautiful. This is obviously the Atlas Mountains. Okay. So we didn't think about this. I mean, I knew it was snowing, but the forecast said that last night and yesterday wouldn't snow. So, and when we picked up the car from Marrakesh is 20 degrees an hour and a half away. Yeah, I didn't really think through to ask him for a thing, but we'll have to wait for probably half an hour just for this to defrost until we can go. I can't even. Wow. Yeah, that's going to be a while. Yeah, it's relatively flat. I know the Norwegian guys have been doing reps up and down here, but it'd be tough today because it's pretty slippery, so that's why we're driving down the mountain. So yeah, we're going to about 1,000 meters elevation roughly, maybe around that, but so it should be pretty close to sea level paces actually. It shouldn't be too far off that. So we're about 45 minutes I think down the mountain. The elevation here is about 900 meters I think. We found a flat stretch. It's about a K that way. You lose about 10 meters that way, and it's got a bike path on the side, which is obviously pretty important for what I'm doing. Most of the other roads around here don't have any bike path, so it's just the road, and it's a bit dangerous with the cars. So this will have to do. So I've got 3 sets of 2k threshold, 1k, 1k. So I'll go 1k out threshold, loop around, 1k back threshold, and then go fast, and do that 3 times. And it's not ideal, but yeah, it's the best we can find here. So. Yeah. Okay, so let's start. We ran down there for the warm up and realised it gets really steep at about 900 meters. So I'm going to have to go back here a little bit. Yeah, so I'm going to go 2k tempo,
out and back, losing about 12-15 meters, coming back up 12-15 meters. I'm picking this route because, one, I don't want to spend all day trying to find a route. I just want to spend no more than half an hour. There's no dogs on the street from what I see, and also there's a bike lane the whole way, which is helpful. So yeah, 2K, out and back, fast 1K, fast 1K. The splits will be a bit all over the place because of it's not flat, but best we can do. Beautiful day, weather's perfect, so almost everything ticking almost every box. So we'll get going. So that was a pretty bad workout actually. It was pretty average. So it's funny, when you drive these roads, it's hard to tell what the elevation loss is, but it turns out according to Strava, and I don't know if it's right, but probably is because I felt it, is that it's 18 meters elevation loss that way in 1K. So what I did was, my plan was to do 3 sets of 2K, 1K, 1K. But I learned very quickly that going 1K out, 1K back was very difficult because you're going downhill and then the way back up is just brutal. You have to slow right down. Because we're also not at sea level here. We're at like 900. Well, what are we at? Hang on. We're 860 meters, and that doesn't make that much difference. So I adjusted the workout. I did 2K, 1K, 1K, 2K, and after the second 2K where I really struggled back up the hill, I decided I wasn't going to go that way anymore all the way because it actually gets steeper and steeper the more you go. So then I adjusted and just did 6 500s. So I did 610, basically going 259, 311, the same effort. And then I did a K in 254 down the hill, 306 up, 612 where I went 3 minutes, 312. Again, 3 minutes going down the hill it's like 306 because it gets very steep down that end. So yeah, so start again, sorry. 610, 254, 306, 612 for the second 2K. And then I just did 6 500s in 124, 27, 26, 29, 25 and 30. I was thinking about doing 10, but every time I went back up the hill I just struggled. Honestly, I think I probably not fully recovered from 40K 3 days ago as well. I don't know, I'm not sure. Yeah, pretty crappy workout, but I got 9K worth of work done at 3 minute K pace or faster, so I'm happy with that. And I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but my asthma is still not 100%, and it's not being helped by these fumes on the side of the road from the cars. So complain. 9K worth of work that fast is still solid. I just really want to complete workouts now, and that was a pretty key one to complete. But I know that if we had a flat road with no cars, I would have done it in 6:05 and 2:57s. I'm confident I could have done that. So at the end of the day, I'm going to go home just content with that. So yeah. So it's midday now. We're going to go get a Moroccan coffee and a Moroccan meal. I'm going to head back up the mountain and probably try and do an afternoon jog as well. Thanks for watching.